Hello and welcome to the 2025 Annuity Outlook webinar. We're super excited to be back in the SMO studios. I'm Steve Vorg, the AVP of Training.
And I'm John Summers, Director of Financial Solutions. Steve, I'm really excited to be here as well. We're going to talk a lot about the factors that led to a record 2024 for a lot of our top agents and for SMS, and why we're bullish on those continuing here in 2025.
So I know you mentioned those critical factors, right? And you may have heard that phrase ripped from the headlines, right? So today we're going to explore the really the critical factors impacting the agents and advisors that we work with in the retirement income space and the important work that they do for their clients. But before we get started too far, a little bit of house cleaning. The lines have been muted, so if you have a question or comment, please use the Q&A function. And definitely love to hear from you, so complete the survey at the end, and we'll get back to you. So should we get started, John?
Let's do it.
All right. Can't get too far. We've got a little disclaimer here, some important words. But you mentioned earlier that we had a great year in 2024, and maybe review what happened.
Yeah, in the annuity marketplace, we're going to talk a lot about a lot of the factors in 2025 that we're bullish on, but I think you got to look in the rear view a little bit in 2024 as to what led to, like I said, record-breaking sales, not just for us here at SMS and a lot of our top relationships, but also within the industry. So it marked 10 straight quarters of double-digit growth in the annuity world. So as you're seeing kind of the compounding effects of growth that we're having here in the annuity marketplace. And sure, we're going to talk about the rising interest rate environment, a number of those reasons, but I think it's important to see more carriers, new entrants into the product mix that we have here in 2025, and also what's leading to a lot of those growth factors.
Exactly. All right, let's get into it.
We start off with the best one first, right?
The best one, the biggest one, the elephant in the room, right? Tax reform. And I know we've got a phrase here at SMS. We'd like to say, the tax code is written in pencil. And I think this year is going to be unlike any other. A lot of eyes will be on Washington, mainly for this reason, and this reason alone is the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And without going into a lot of detail, this act was passed during President Trump's first session of the presidency, and it was passed through a process called reconciliation. Mm-hmm. So it was set to expire here in 2025. I think a lot of people just assumed that was going to happen, but now that we've got single party control again, back in D.C., a lot of unknowns, and so we'll be watching this closely.
That's right. I think you've heard many people say over the last 6, 7, 8 years that taxes are on sale because of this Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and we weren't sure what the future held for it. So we're still not sure, but there may be a resurgence of optimism that we might have some more opportunities for tax reform going forward. But we've talked a lot about our educational workshops. Taxes in retirement has been a key topic. And so a lot of that has been educating people on the changes that have been made. So, I know it's maybe not the most fun topic to start with all the time, but I think it's really important to keep a finger on the pulse in the tax world. And Steve does that better than just about anybody, and that way we can stay informed. So it's good for you to stay informed, and that means we can help you by keeping an eye on what's happening there in Washington.
Exactly. So, the next one, interest rates. You touched on it a little bit earlier, and once again, it really impacts our business in a lot of ways. So a lot of it's just in the pricing of our products and what we can give to our clients in terms of crediting, right? Whether it's a MIGA or FIA. So if you go back to 2022, we actually had 11 increases. Trying to combat inflation and whatnot. The leveled off for a while, but now we saw 3 downturns in 2024. We're looking forward to 2025 as well. But we've got these ebbs and flows of interest rates, right? The ups and downs, the peaks and valleys.
Yeah, that's right, Steve. For many years, I think I've been on this side of the table talking about annuities for about 15 years. And I remember a very long time where all we talked about were rate declines and cutting rates and the things slowing down. And then we thought we were at the bottom for a long time. And it's kind of funny to see this graphic because we were on the bottom for a while, but then we kind of rapidly rose up. So for a long time, we weren't talking about rate decreases. It was more rate increases along the way. Yeah. And now we're starting to see maybe we've reached that peak and we're starting to come down. So I think it's really important, though, within the rate environment we're in. Heck, we had some of the best MIGA rates and fixed income payout factors we had in 16 years. Yeah. So it was a really unique opportunity to be able to revisit older contracts, some of the things we're going to talk about a little bit later. But I thought it was really interesting to see, okay, we're still towards the higher end there of the current interest rate environment, but they are planning on having some decreases. So I'm not trying to have too bold of a prediction here, but if we do see 2 to 3 rate cuts or more this year, now could be the best time for you to be looking at the current rates that these carriers have to offer. Yeah,
really that golden era of annuity. Yeah,
I truly think we are right now.
Exactly. So So the next factor is demographic shifts and really how demographics has influenced our business. And to me, John, this is fascinating. And I know we've got this pie chart, and what this represents is that 51.8 in the orange there is the amount of wealth that's owned by the baby boomers, right? And then we've got the Gen X, millennials, and silent generation. But the idea here is that a lot of wealth is controlled by these people, and one of the major reasons why is because of the IRA and the 401k. It's hard to believe our business without the IRA, but the IRA celebrated its 50th birthday last year, and the 401k is a little bit younger. But as you can see, over almost $28 trillion either in a 401k or IRA plan. So a lot of people have these plans. A lot of people use these to accumulate savings. But opportunities as well, and one of the big things then is really what's going to happen. I think probably in 3 phases. Right now we're in a couple of these right now, maybe simultaneously. The first one we call Peak 65, or the silver tsunami, because the trailing edge of the boomers, a lot of them are retiring or into 65, and 3 more years of the peak numbers of turning 65, and then the rise of women. The women have been in the workforce, have been very successful in their own right. But also think about the wealth that they may have inherited by mom and dad or from their husband, because women tend to outlive men. The average age is 59. So a lot of our advisors that we work with are working to become more women-centric in their practice because of the fact that 30 trillion is by 2030. And then I believe that 75% of women do unfortunately move on to an advisor after their husband passes away. So
to a different advisor. Yeah.
So
if you think about the 2 slides you just showed, I mean, the first one to me is eye-opening because you can see, from 11 trillion to about 42 trillion in the last 24, 25 years, and the balances of those IRAs. And I mean, that's a large amount of assets that have grown in that tax-deferred environment. So we started out talking about taxes for a reason. I mean, they impact everything along the way. So talking about a tax-efficient distribution strategy is going to be on the top of a lot of people's minds. And for those that did have 40 or 50 years to accumulate prior to retirement, chances are very good they're going to be without a pension, and they're going to be relying on those assets to make sure that they can overcome one of those top fears in retirement, which is the fear about living their assets. So we talk a lot about making sure at retirement your health care is covered, your income's covered. And if you have those 2 rocks in place, you probably feel pretty good about your retirement. Well, the silver tsunami, Peak 65, turning 65 for a lot of folks, they affiliate Medicare as at that age. You need to make those decisions. And the rise of women, or the control of wealth by women, is really unique. And I think, Steve, you put it well, and something that you almost have to stop and think about. Women being a double inheritor. I mean, the average age of a widow being 59, every time I hear that number, it's just kind of jaw-dropping to me.
It's alarming.
I mean, you're probably inheriting from parents, then perhaps a spouse as well. So, I mean, there's just a really good reason why you're going to want the right strategy and everyone at the table on the same page when you're putting together the appropriate income plan. And that may include the next generation, because we are talking about the largest wealth transfer we've ever seen. So from a wealth transfer, some of those strategies we're going to talk about with life insurance and annuities and other insurance vehicles, really important to make sure you can give your clients the peace of mind by educating them the current landscape of retirement today.
Exactly. So speaking of the landscape, Social Security, probably the largest, most endearing programs out there, touches nearly everybody, but a lot going on there as well. So everything I'm going to show you, John, is actually either from the statement or from their website. So this first on the upper right quadrant there is important things to know. Is Social Security was really never intended to be your only source of income. So hopefully your clients have had a chance to save outside their Social Security, but creates that income gap. Then, if you've got Social Security only takes you so far, and you aspire to a lifestyle that you want to live to, maybe explain what that income gap is.
Yeah, it's something we've talked about for a lot of years, right? We've really tried to help our agents understand how optimizing Social Security can be so important. I mean, for some individuals, it could be a 6-figure decision between the optimal time and maybe the earliest time to elect for benefits based on average life expectancy. So it's really important not to make a rash decision when you're electing for Social Security. But like you just said, we're not expecting Social Security to cover all of your fixed income needs. Ideally, Social Security plus a pension might get you really close. Then you're just relying on personal savings for the last bit of it. But like we've already talked about, not a lot of people do have a pension. So you're really relying on those 401k or IRA savings or your own personal savings to fill in that income gap. And a lot of our agents had success helping people understand what Social Security does and doesn't do. And the tax efficiencies within Social Security are great, but once you're starting to pull in other income sources, that might change the taxable nature of Social Security as well. So you're probably starting to see how some of these different factors that we're talking about start to blend together, and really understanding that how to navigate that landscape is really important.
They do, exactly. So also too, another thing hitting, the news cycle really has been recently the solvency issues. And once again, if you click on the bottom of your statement, it leads you to this page right here. So Social Security Administration is very transparent. They're very sharing with the information, and they're not trying to hide anything, right? But by 2035, less than a decade away, the trust fund as we know it today will be exhausted. And so we're relying basically on payroll tax after that. But we could probably expect some type of change. I don't want to say what that would be at this time. But if no change is made, then there will be a reduction in benefits.
I view this as one of those factors that you just got to keep your finger on the pulse and be aware of what's going on. And we are starting to hear more of our agents say, "Hey, I had a client tell me that this was right on the statement," and they may not have known that. So being aware of it's important, but then also being aware that chances are good a change will happen in the next 10 years. If I'm a betting man, I think it may not happen until 8 or 9 years down the road. They'll probably kick the can down the road as long as they can. Yeah. But with the interest rate environment, again, with some of these things compounding, there are new products and offerings and solutions that might help ease someone's mind if they're concerned about the political risk of Social Security change.
Exactly. So something did happen politically that was actually favorable for many people. End of 2024, now going into now 2025, but the Social Security Fairness Act. So it eliminated what's called the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset. Really, about 3 million or so public sector employees were the most impacted people, but they're now going to get a full benefit from Social Security and not see their benefits reduced any longer. So
yeah, I don't know about you, Steve, but I always thought that GPO and WEP are like two of the most confusing things to explain.
It was not easy.
I'm kind of glad they're just gone now, so we don't have to worry about having that conversation.
Yeah, good for the employee base, but also good for us not to worry
That's right.
about. Yeah,
that's
so
right.
A little bit of self-serving there, but once again, Social Security, it's not that sleepy old program. A lot goes on and will continue to go on because that is the foundation of the plan for many people. So, so let's move on to market commentary. We won't get into projections of where we feel the market is going. However, I'm sure a lot of your own clients or maybe yourself do invest in the market, the equity market, to stay ahead and see those dollars grow. But they also impact the indices of our indexed annuities as well. And I know if you go back the last 16 years, this is to me alarming. So,
Those numbers are staggering. I mean, it is very interesting to see the last 16-year bull run. We've seen some market volatility along the way, of course, in 20 with COVID and a few other years. We've seen some ups and downs, but long term, we've definitely seen a nice long bull run. So we just talked about those that might be investing in 401ks and IRAs over the years. Hopefully, they've been able to weather any of those storms, and they should be up over the last 10, 15, 20 years. So as they near retirement, it's really where the conversation can change a little bit to really start to think about the accumulation years and the distribution phased years. And, one of the pieces we've always talked about, Steve, is kind of that sequence of return risk. And I know a lot of our agents have seen sequence of return risk, but really the last 5 years prior to retirement and the first 5 years in retirement, that 10-year period is really important to try to make sure you can weather those storms. So if you have clients that have saved correctly, or they maybe, I like to say they've already won the race, they've accumulated enough wealth to be able to make it through retirement, might be a good time to have a conversation about safeguarding some of those chips off the table so they don't have to put them at risk to change lifestyle in retirement. And this is a piece that we have that is customizable. So if you've seen a carrier piece, or if you like to use a sequence returns chart, this is one that I love just because you can put your information and brand it for yourself there right at the bottom.
Yep. Awesome. So, finally, just innovation. We work with dozens of carriers, right? And each one of them is in a race to provide the best solutions and best products because our industry has to stay ahead of the curve, in order to meet the needs of the modern retiree and the modern consumer. We also have AI. Hopefully, AI is done for the right reasons. But think about innovation, right? There's a lot of smart people in our space, better products, better service, better approvals, and just an overall better customer experience or client experience.
Yeah, there's a few things that always come to mind for me when you say innovation, when we talk about this topic, because there are a few things like AI that might be confusing to some, might be cautious to others. But I think as you really sit back, there was about $10 billion in fixed indexed annuities that were provided by insurers that are less than 5 years old. So you have new insurance companies to the market because you have private equity funding some of those companies. Then, of course, we have a lot of 100-plus-year-old insurance companies that we've chosen to partner with for a long time as well, too. So not that one's bad, but one may be new. So you're just starting to see this innovation because of a higher interest rate environment, because of the demographic shifts that we've talked about. I mean, this is really not a secret that there's a lot of money to be transferred. So I expect to see the regulatory environment pick up, but the innovation is really fun to see too, because you're going to see carriers launching new product in today's interest rate environment, gives them the ability to do that. You have more carriers and more product choice. So to me, the consumer can win if we can navigate the waters, which get a little murkier every time there's new products, new carriers, new indices, new.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's really important to have a partner on your side like SMS, that's where we're living, right? We're helping to navigate those waters and to try to bring the best innovative solutions to the table.
Exactly. So, we shared a few slogans here at SMS, but another one is empower through education. Obviously, we want to use this forum to educate, the advisors and agents we work with on a day-to-day basis. But think about all these important topics you see and how that impacts their clients. So how can we use this information to allow our producers to retain their clients, but also attract new ones?
That's right. Yeah. The biggest thing for me is, like you said, empowerment through education. You can look at a number of the topics we talked about today, and I think you really need to have a good overall understanding or at least awareness of what's going on around you to feel comfortable and confident entering into retirement as an individual. So how can you do that best, right? If you're an advisor and you're trying to help your clients and maybe prospects in your area learn more about Medicare, Social Security, taxes in retirement, maybe what Medicare doesn't cover when it comes to healthcare and retirement. These are all topics and presentations that we've customized and put together. And we can kind of have it from soup to nuts, if you will, the whole turnkey seminar program experience. Again, whether it's for existing clients or for new prospects, I think it's really important to figure out how do you want to grow. And if you are interested in educational workshops or events, it's a great reason to reach out to your sales and your marketing team here at SMS. We've put a lot of material together. I think last year, one of the things we heard most from our agents was more consumer-facing content to help you tell your message at the table with a client. So I think the last 3 pieces we put together or refreshed were consumer-centric pieces to help you explain your value to a client. And it all starts with education. Yeah. I'm a firm believer if you help educate people on the decisions that are out there, they're going to make the right one, but they're going to need your help in facilitating that.
Yeah. And then, clients stream literally hundreds of content, whether it's social media, workshops, client-facing advertising, anything we can do to help. We offer this information at no cost, to our agents and advisors.
I think it's a good point, Steve, to just call out. If you're on this call right now and you don't have a login on my SMS and know where to go to access Client Stream, that's the first thing I would make sure you do when you hang up from this call, because it's free for you, and a lot of that information is co-brandable. So again, it's not our logo and our name we want on it. We don't need that credit. We want to pass that through you. So we want you to put your name and your logo and information right on these pieces and be able to use them with your clients.
Exactly. And then finally, Medicare. We did touch on this a little bit earlier, and hands down, we feel SMS is the best health and wealth IMO in the business. And last year was very eventful for our friends over in the Medicare division. Brought many challenges along the way. But despite all these disruptions, our friends in Medicare had another record year.
They had a great year. And I think it's whether you're providing Medicare solutions to your clients or not, I'd almost guarantee last quarter, the fourth quarter of 2024, you heard the word Medicare from some of your clients. Yeah. And I think that's just indicative of the landscape, right? I mean, we saw a lot of companies pull out or have what we would call non-commissionable plans. We had the Inflation Reduction Act passed a few years ago. Some of that was really enforced in 2024 and into 2025 plans. So you just saw a lot of what I'd call plan disruption. And what we've tried to do is make it really easy, either help you with the cutting edge technology and tools that SMS has, write Medicare directly for your clients, partner with someone locally in your area that could, or lastly, to me, Medicare back office is exactly, we created and worked with our teams here to provide Medicare back office solutions, meaning you can simply just refer your clients and collect a potential referral fee for those referrals so we can help your clients navigate the waters. And our agents are salaried benefit advisors that are there to help your clients understand maybe what's automatic, what they have to do, and find maybe the best plan for them. So I'm a big believer in our Medicare back office. At least what it does is it allows you to have the basic conversation with Medicare and know whether you're writing it, you're referring it down the street, or you're referring it to Medicare back office. You have a solution for your clients when it comes to Medicare.
Exactly. So another banner year for both health and wealth here at SMS. So just to kind of wrap things up here, John, here are the topics in review. Cover a lot of information. Went kind of fast, but that's okay. Give us a call. We'll help you again. You know, if you have further questions, that's what we're here for. But we just felt these were the critical factors that are impacting our business today. And we wanted to use this as a way to kind of lay it all out.
Well, maybe I'll talk for a moment about a few of the sales concepts that I think are going to be most prevalent and some of the things that we should be having deeper conversations on because, you know, it is one of the first times you talked about innovation that I've seen an A+ rated carrier roll out a benefit rider, not an income rider, but a 4-in-1 benefit rider. And with some of the larger bonuses that are available, you know, you talked about tax reform. To me, I kind of thought about Roth conversion. And what's the biggest reason why I think a lot of people buy into the concept of Roth conversion? Tax-free sounds a lot better than tax-deferred.
It does.
But what do you have to do? You have to write that check and pay those taxes. And that's the most painful part. So what if there was a product out there that had a bonus that was about 20 to 22% that helped offset some of that pain of having to write that check, right? So that has been a really good way for us to introduce some of these products that, whether it's Roth conversion, not to mention that same carrier allows for you to convert on the existing policy. You can basically have a parallel policy and convert some of those IRA dollars to Roth right in the same contract without extending surrender charge period. And from a guaranteed income perspective, I talk a lot about, can we give your client a raise in retirement? And if so, how? Could that be repositioning older annuity products that had income guarantees built in that we can now improve upon? Maybe we're taking assets that were set aside for a spend down, you know, the old 4% rule. Maybe we can increase that based on current payout factors. So with the higher interest rate environment, opened up what I'd call that retirement refi or annuity review process, which we're doing a lot of. So if you have a client that owns an annuity, maybe you didn't write it, maybe someone else did. What we use is Morningstar's Annuity Intel tool. So we're using a third-party resource to help us do a side-by-side comparison to say, hey, you're in product X. 5 years ago, that was a great product. In today's interest rate environment, we can improve upon those guarantees or benefits in the contract. And we'll put it under the microscope and do the work for you. All you need to do is send us a statement and connect with our sales team. And other than that, I love the idea of understanding this RMD strategy, RMD solution. I've been talking about it, Steve, for a very long time. And if you don't know what I mean, do me a favor, just call our sales and marketing team and ask them, hey, what is the RMD strategy you'd recommend? Because that is what you should be asking your clients too, is do you have an RMD strategy? And helping people understand RMDs now 73 and older, but really understanding what we can do for clients that have retirement accounts, qualified accounts that maybe don't need their RMD, but they do obviously have to take their RMDs. So trying to find a way to either preserve the asset or provide income. We have a couple of really good tax-efficient solutions for that conversation. So, Steve, you already said it. We think and we know we have the best platform when it comes to health and wealth in the industry. Everything from technology to dedicated support, a lot of our marketing systems. We just scratched the surface talking about Client Stream and some of the resources we put together. And obviously some of the best ideas, we'd love to think all come internally. A lot of our best ideas come from the industry and from our top advisors as well. So hearing from you directly on things that you need to see or hear have is exactly how we take action and create some of those pieces and try to provide it to you. So whether it's consumer content, whether it's educational events, you know, we're going to constantly be trying to push the envelope because we know 2025 is going to be our best year ever. We don't know how big it's going to be yet. But we're hoping, and we know we have the tools to help you have the best 2025 when it comes to your annuity sales.
And the other thing in 2025, getting bigger and better, is our sales forum.
That's right.
So
I was excited. We're going to have Ed Slott here. So we talked a little bit about tax reform, and who better than the IRA expert himself to have Ed Slott here to come and educate our group of advisors. And heck, we'll have close to 500 plus people here in Omaha for that event. So if you're interested in that, another great reason to reach out to your marketer or your sales team here at SMS.
So if I'm a producer, agent, advisor, and I want to connect, how do I do that?
Well, you can start by giving that number a call, or if you have a marketer that invited you to this call, I'd give them a call. But know that we're really excited. We know that this is going to be a great year. We're going to try to have a couple of best year evers back to back to back. And for a lot of our top advisors, it's going to be through educational events, product awareness, and then sitting down with those that matter most, their clients, and finding the right solution.
Exactly. Well, John, thanks for your time today. Appreciate all that you bring to the table. And for those who joined us, we appreciate your time as well. And hopefully you thought of an idea that hit home, a client, whomever. We do appreciate your time, and hopefully you thought this was worthwhile. So
thank you, Steve.